Welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm Ian Carlos Crawford.
I'm Angela Rockstar.
I'm Ashley Hullett.
And I'm Ryan Houlihan, and we're here to discuss the 25th anniversary of Buffy's Season 3 episode, Dead Man's Party.
Woo!
Good episode.
So yeah, what did we think revisiting this episode? Angela?
Well, zombies are probably my least favorite monster, but I'm an emotional chick, and there was a lot of emotion in this episode. There was a lot of it was giving after school special. There was a lot going on. So that fused with zombies, I was good with it.
Ryan?
I think, listen, the episode's plot itself is pretty thin, and I don't think the monster of the week is very well defined. However, it's a great episode because you don't really care. There's so much fun stuff in there. There is some good emotional scenes. Again, the plot doesn't make a ton of sense. It's just one of those plots that's nobody's talking to each other, which is not interesting for the audience. But I think Sarah Michelle Gellar gives a flawless performance and looks unbelievable. And we have a lot of fun. And frankly, this is an episode that I do remember all the time as the house party episode.
Yeah.
So it must be pretty great because it stands out amongst a lot of great episodes. So I mean, to me, that's high praise.
Fair. Ashley?
This isn't one that I revisit often.
Okay.
I was thinking about it. I was because it is good. As I was watching it, I was like, why don't I watch this one more often? Because it's got a lot of really iconic moments in it.
Yeah.
And I think if it just was placed in a different spot, because it's between two really big bangers for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm like, let's get through this party so I can get to Faith.
I remember having the DVD set and looking at the episode order and being like, oh my God. But it's a good episode in isolation. I think the zombie thing is really fun, right? Because it gives you things, it's fun jokes. The audience already knows what it is. And yeah, they're like putties on Power Rangers where you just keep knocking them down. Nobody cares. Even though those are people's loved ones. It's
right.
Clear to me at some point.
Right.
But, I don't really see, the mask of it all to me is kind of thin and weak. It's kind of, especially it's very exoticizing of Nigerian culture, which is a little, but Pat's great.
Pat.
Can't talk enough about Pat.
I have some Pat thoughts.
That is fabulous.
So we start this episode with Buffy is home. It's weird. I mean, I know we'll get there when we get there, but I like this version of Joyce where it's she's being overcompensating mom, and it feels like she knows she was shitty, so she's trying to do nice things. I guess at the end point that is not, but it feels like, when she's like, oh, I'll drive you. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Will you be slaying? Only if they give me lip. And she's like, do you like my mask? She's clearly trying.
It's cute that she's trying to, it's like when you hear people try to use Gen Z slang that it aren't online. Me and Ian are honorary Gen Z members when it comes to slang at this point. Frankly, you know what? This isn't the place for it. But frankly, I invented half the fucking shit they say at this point. I'm like, really? I feel like Stan was something I started using on a forum in 2003. But anyway, it's fun to hear her say slaying and be like, will you be slaying? Because she's trying to be hip. She's trying to use the lingo. And her contrast with Giles is really likable. And I know for some reason, the more time goes on, the more people don't like Joyce. Yeah. But I would say in the context of how parents were in the 90s, which is very different than parents are now, she was doing her best. And yeah, it's cringe. And yeah, Buffy hates it. But especially after her daughter disappeared and we've seen no resolution, she really is putting herself out there.
Yeah. Angela, I want your mom opinion. What do you think?
Well, it's so hard to say. I mean, I think Joyce is doing her best for the time. I can agree with that. I feel like if one of my children was the Slayer, I feel like I hope that we've had a relationship where they would immediately tell me that, so that there would be no oddness, or there's a point where Joyce is like, well, can't you just tell somebody, tell the principal, tell the police?
Yeah.
And it's Nah. Lucky you know.
I have indeed thought of that.
Also, Angela, what a sentence. I would hope my child would tell me if they were the Slayer.
Yeah.
They would tell you. You're a cooler mom than Joy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel like I would know. I feel like, if the librarian was sending my 15-year-old on missions to destroy vampires, I feel like I would know.
You're like, I watched Buffy. I watched this shit enough times. I know what you're doing.
Right.
So we get Buffy after she sees her mom. She leaves. She's in the alley, catches Xander. And I do like, the thing I like is Cordelia's consistency through this episode. Like, Xander doesn't hug her right away. He's kind of like trying to think of a pun, but he looks, credit where credit is due. Nicholas Brendan does do some good work sometimes as Xander, even though we cannot stand Xander most of the time. Like, I like that he's not excited and he looks like he's like trying to think of what to say before the vampire, bursts between them. And like Cordelia's the only one that's like, oh, hey, Buffy. Like, she's like fine.
Yeah. She's well invested. Her identity is not pinned to whether or not Buffy's in town. Her safety is. But
and I really like, even when they go to Giles's apartment, the thing I really love is I think the show in this episode specifically does really well is the awkwardness. Like, everyone feels fucking awkward. And that's not something I'm mad at anyone for. That makes sense, right? Like, and the other thing I kept having to remind myself while rewatching this was they don't know what happened, right?
Right.
mm-hmm.
So like, that's where I try, because, oh boy, I say this all the time when I'm like, guys, it's a show. We all talk about the same opinions. But like when people like attack Buffy, I get like feral. I get so angry. And like, I had to be like, no, they don't know what happened. They're just being stupid teens, but like, also fuck them.
But also, I mean, we can just get right into it. Okay, so they go back to Giles' apartment. It's super awkward. They're talking. They do ask her. They give her time. They don't pressure her. They say, maybe you want more time before we talk about what happened. And she says, yes, that's what I want. Now, do I think Xander's a huge asshole through the whole episode? Of course, I always do. But at least Willow did ask her. And it does seem like maybe they don't want, they are avoiding the awkwardness and the one-on-one of it all. Mm-hmm. But they did try. And Buffy, from this point on, the ball is in her court. I think she's right to feel how she feels. She's right to not want to open up immediately. She's right to not know how to express herself. And she's right to have assumed later in the episode that they might not launch a giant social event in her home.
Right.
But I do think they for what the information that they're working with and the age they are, they're being incredibly accommodating to her. And she needs the accommodation. But I do think it does make sense to be like, okay, could you just give us like a summary of how serious it is? You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Like Buffy, it seems is like joking around a lot. So how bad am I supposed to assume it was? But also you left town. It's confusing. It's mixed signals. It's teenager stuff. And the only person here who's doing the wrong thing is Xander.
I also want to mention that Oz is in these episodes, and Seth Green was my first ever crush. I made a I love Seth Green shirt, and I wore it to middle school. Like,
that's adorable.
Angela,
Very
that's
cool.
so fucking cute. Because he also was my big crush back then.
I love that we have the similar tastes. I love that.
Of course we do. Yeah. And it's like him and Cordy are kind of like they don't seem to be like attacking. They're not like personally mad at Buffy, but I like that he's just very like, okay, yeah, whatever. Oh, we're doing this. All right, sure. Like, he's not really getting emotional and he doesn't care.
Again, stable sense of self. He's a confident person who is like, this will be fine. I love you. You love you. We have superpowers. We'll figure this out. And that is the way to approach things. But it requires a level of maturity that like none of these people have. Except maybe Giles should.
Yeah. Fuck, I barely have that at 40. Let's be real.
Yeah. I mean, always works in progress.
The thing I also want to mention is Giles, I like his reactions. Like when they go to his apartment, he like goes to get tea and he almost cries, but he gets it together and he doesn't attack her at all. And he doesn't make it about himself.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Stewart Head is like, it's like a masterclass, but he is, it's so fatherly, and Buffy, obviously he's her surrogate father, but like it's not in a ham-handed or comical way. Like
Yeah.
I've seen that look of relief in my parents because I did something horrible, and like, yeah, they're gonna have to have a really big conversation with me, and that conversation probably got a lot louder than any of Buffy did. We are from Long Island, but it was really real, and I wasn't even really so much on the page. It was really in his performance and his joy at hearing them bicker. It's like, what adult wants to listen to teenagers in their house just fucking bickering and being idiots? Like, I don't like listening to teenagers in Starbucks. Like, I have to leave if they're not yours, you know. But this is the moment where you're like, they are his, and like Buffy is his, and like in some ways, and he has such a joy just hearing her be happy and safe. And like, we need those moments in order to make all the wackiness and hijinks make any sense. Like, you need those like unexpected real moments that ground things. And Anthony Stewart had, like, hats off, man.
Yeah. And it's like, he's so, like you said, it's never ham-fisted. It's always like subtle, and he does it so well. Willow stands Buffy up for their like coffee date.
Ugh, that's so heartbreaking.
Yeah. Because then Joyce is like, oh, she called, and Joyce says she said she was running late. And it's like, what? She just didn't show up. What are you talking about?
Held up.
Buffy has a beeper.
Yeah, that's true. Where'd that beeper go? And then like Joyce says oh, well, first Buffy meets Pat. We see Pat leaving the house.
Yes, Pat. Joyce's friend from book club who took care of Joyce while Buffy was away.
I could
they do their secret shots of schnapps and have their girl time where they get real silly.
I love Pat.
Actually, I was gonna say I kind of like Pat as like giving Joyce a little bit of a life outside of Buffy. Like, I'm like, it's not that I just think it would have been nice for her to have a friend around, and then she fucking dies at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Then the next day, Joyce says she's talked to the superintendent. And okay. She then's listing schools, and Buffy like is like, oh, we're already doing that. And she tells I was fuming when she's like, oh, well, you made some bad choices and you're gonna have to deal with them. And I'm like, what? Like saving the fucking world? Like
this was the part where I was like, well, she's not wrong. Like, Joyce isn't wrong, because you have to think about the fact that she has to get her in school or they're going to come for Joyce.
Yeah.
And so if the quickest way to get her into a school is a girls' school that accepts late admissions,
well, so to be fair, I get that part, but it's like her like blaming Buffy. And I know we even discussed this in Becoming. I know it's that like she said you like get out, but she didn't really mean it, and she felt bad when she said it. But she still fucking said it.
Yeah.
And like that's what makes me mad, is because I do understand that like Joyce said that out of anger and she didn't mean it. But like if my mom said that to me, I would also fucking leave. If like my mom had said that to me, I would have been like freaking the fuck out and been like screaming, fuck you. I would have punched the fucking door down and left. Like, I would not have just like quietly gone. And I just don't know any like teenager that would be like, oh, my mom was just like, she was just mad, I'm gonna go back. Like, no teenager would take it as like, you don't see your parents as having flaws, right? And Joyce says that later, which I do appreciate, when she's like, guess what? I'm a human. But I still am like, but you told her to leave. You did, not Buffy.
But Joyce and Buffy have the same problem, which is like, and Buffy doesn't get it. Like, Joyce has a sacred duty too. She's the chosen one to protect you, the most important person to her. And now she has factual evidence to the world. And like, you were wanted for murder charges, which is whether or not that's your fault. Also, which, by the way, the episode is just like, we'll have Oz say, no, you're not.
Like, that's fine.
You couldn't have given us like 30 seconds at a police station. All right, whatever. But like, I think, she has her own thing that she has to get done. And it is really, there will be consequences. Like, ultimately, she does have to go to school. Like, it's not going to go away.
Right.
And Buffy is suggesting homeschool, but that's like also, first off, not ideal for her daughter, obviously. And second, like, you're asking more of Joyce, who's a single mom who has a full-time job,
Right.
and a daughter who's like wanted by, I don't know, the FBI.
Right.
I don't think Joyce is right. And I get why people are annoyed with her and want to just like throttle her because Buffy's really been through the ringer. But I do think Buffy needs to understand that even the same way she can't execute being a Slayer perfectly, neither can you execute being a parent perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And they both need to like give each other space and time, and they need to learn how to communicate. And Buffy is clearly having those issues with everybody, whereas Joyce is pretty much learned to cut through. Now that she has the full picture, she can call up Willow and say, what is going on? And she does do that, you know? And like, again, I don't want to be sitting here defending the most annoying character, but I think it makes sense. And I think it also I think there's a lot of parallels between Joyce and Buffy that Joyce appreciates, but we don't really see Buffy appreciate. And maybe Dawn appreciates and is jealous of, but that's a separate podcast.
She opens the door, the weird cat
Love that
they
cat.
buried. Right. I forgot that they buried this cat. I forgot to mention that. This is where we get the infamous, or not infamous, the famous, is it a gathering, shindig, or hoot nanny? Which is like, I feel like the Oz line. He doesn't get many like lines that stick out, but I feel like this is like a one that always sticks out, right?
Yeah.
This is where they're just like, we're going to make it a big party, right? Isn't that what they discuss?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like Cordelia's line from earlier in the scene, though, whenever she sees the cat, and she's like, don't you like anything regular? Golf, USA Today, anything?
And like, that makes sense for a teenager to be like, yes, like a fucking dead cat. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And it would be Cordelia.
Yes. We then get the Summers home. Buffy's setting the plates, and I love her interaction with Pat. Because motherfucker, when she's like, I hope you're not planning any more flights of fancy. And it's
Bitch.
like, excuse me. Like,
Bitch. White women will just say stuff in the suburbs. It's crazy.
Yes. Pat was so real for that, honestly. Like, I can name 15 Pats that I've met in my life.
Angela. And I love when she's like, want to see my mom? Yes, Ma. Just like screams.
Oh my God. So real. I've probably done that so many times in my life. Thought that was perfectly acceptable behavior.
Yes.
Wild. Makes her so young.
Yes.
And like, we never get to see young Buffy. It's so fun.
Yes. I was about to say that, like, that's what I love is like, she looks and feels so young in that moment, and normally she never does.
Yeah.
And then Goes My Baby show up, and it's a huge fucking party.
Wait.
Yes. That's
You're skipping something very important.
Uh-oh.
Joyce comes running down the stairs, and she says, oh, Pat, good. And then they kiss.
Yes, they do.
I want you to know, you guys can't hear that, right? The like ding on my computer.
Mm-mm.
Ashley, as soon as you said, and then they kiss, my work email, it has like a ding noise. It dinged as soon as you said that.
The ghost of Pat.
It was like a light bulb above your head. Willow is like, being weird. Xander and Cordy are just making out.
Thanks for your help, guys.
Yeah. Great talk. Okay. Giles finds out what the mask is. Like you said, Ryan, it is like, it's very thin, but it's like, sure, there's just
all right.
whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
It does give him a great line in the car ride over where he's like, bloody America. Oh, do you like my new mask?
Yeah,
it raises
that was
the dead, bloody Americans. And it's worth it because it is that is half the series in one line.
Yep.
It is. I didn't think about that, but you're really fucking right.
I love the stoners that picked up the phone too.
Yes.
Party Villa, can I rock you?
Yeah.
Buddy? Do we got a buddy here?
Yeah.
Which is what all our phones would years later autocorrect Buffy's name to.
Yeah, right.
Buffy is sad. She goes to her room, and this conversation, I feel like, could have gone well. This is where I do think Willow's being fair. I still think, like you said, Ryan, she's still like tying everything to Buffy, and it's like, I get it, but like that, you going through this, like, I get that Xander's a dope, but like you did literally you could have talked to someone. I get that you didn't want to because it's Xander, but I feel like it's fair when she's like, you don't know what I was going through. And she's like, well, I'd like to.
Yeah.
And I like that Willow is not attacking her. Willow is like genuinely being like, I was hurt. I missed you. But unfortunately, their talk does not get to finish appropriately or lead down any kind of whatever, because Joyce barges in and ruins it.
God damn
Joyce
it,
is
Joyce.
heated.
I was defending you earlier.
This,
Those schnapps, man.
yeah,
They hit.
Again,
She had schnapps lips.
who amongst us has not been there? This is when I get furious, because I do like that Willow and Buffy's conversation made sense. And then I do feel like, I don't know if you, like, you mentioned Ryan, the blame game, then I feel like it turns fully into the blame game and we're only blaming Buffy. And like,
I mean, it's a witch hunt. It's like who's the bad guy? It's like nobody. The bad guy is named Akathla, and he's gone.
Right. Like we killed him. We're good. Like, and I get so mad. She's like, you don't just get to dump things on me and expect me to get it. And like, one of them, I think it's Buffy's, I didn't do this to punish you. And she says, well, you did. And I'm like, can you
So
just, for 1 second, remember what you said to your daughter? Like,
and remember, like, we're trying to be productive here, like
right.
the Willow thing. Let's just be vulnerable and have faith that we'll
have that next episode.
Yeah, shut up, everyone, shut up. Nah! No trick. Had to have a little belief in our daughter that they mean well, and that like we all love each other. We want a good solution. Like screaming accusations, replaying through pain is only useful if you think the other person is not aware of it. But
right.
Buffy is aware of it, and if she does not appreciating it on the level you want her to, that's not solved by yelling.
Right. And then it gets worse, right? Because then they go downstairs, and when Xander calls her like selfish and stupid, I am like,
oh my god,
seeing
coming
red.
From him,
right? From you, like
Nighthawk.
Yeah, when Joyce and Buffy are going back and forth down in the middle of the party after some of the guests have left, there's this blonde girl that I focused in on that I'd never noticed before, and her facials are just hilarious. She's an extra, and she's behind Buffy, and she just, like, it's just so, that was very interesting to me, because then I'm like, right, you're at this party, you think somebody got out of rehab or something, and you're at a party, and now there's just this chaotic scene where the mom is yelling. I mean, most of the kids would have ran out once they saw the mom.
Yeah.
I mean, the mom's been drinking in the kitchen the whole time. I'm sure they've seen her already.
That's true. That's true.
I would have been in the kitchen getting the tea before it even happened. I'd have been like, Joyce, tell me all about it. Let's do this. I love my friend's mom. I love the my friend's mom relationship.
So they they all start yelling. This is because I'm very emotional because my fucking mom died this last summer, but I'm like, I almost cried watching this because I was just getting so mad. I was like, Buffy does so much for you people, and this is what you let Xander call her selfish and stupid and humiliate her in front of like basically the entire school, like
that she's not even allowed to attend.
Right.
I was just thinking about season 7. I was like, this is just a precursor to what's going to happen later.
Yup. So we see Giles is coming to save the day. Hotwire. He encounters some zombies, leaves his keys outside, hotwires his car.
That Ripper knowledge.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved that. I loved that. I love all the callbacks to like, he was like, just like riding a bike. And that moment in like when I first watched the show, not the first time, but when I rewatched the show, I was like, oh yeah, damn, I forgot that's Daddy.
Yeah.
Like, oh right, thank you for reminding me, Giles. And I love when he's annoyed at himself. Like when he sees the keys, he's like, oh, bloody good. Like, and then Willow says something like, oh, like talking about it isn't helping. Might as well try some violence. And then the zombies crash in. And I do like that she's like, I was being sarcastic.
Yeah,
I do love that Cordelia is the only one that like does try to like stick up for Buffy.
Yeah.
And she does it in her own way.
I'm Buffy. I'm a freak. I'm another freak. Like, let's get with it. What am I going to do? Normal guy?
She's like, Cordy, get out of my shoes. I love that line.
Which is so funny because similar to Cordy finally getting to stake a vampire and blah, 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 Cordy will soon be in her shoes in this audio drama.
And also we get the moment of Giles encountering Oz and Cordy. And when he's she's like, wait, how do we know it's not you? Then like, it's not zombie Giles. And he's like, do stop being tiresome. And she's like, it's him. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. I feel like the iconic image from this episode is them pushing the door shut with the zombies trying to get in, right? And I love that. Oz, I love that he runs out yelling Buffy's name. Buffy's been zapped holding the shovel, but then he gets zapped, and then she fucking stabs Pat in the eyes with the shovel. And then we cut back to Oz, who's no longer like zapped, and he's like, oh, never mind. And again, because they are family, while I would have preferred a talk, I get it, right? They're like, shit, there are way more important things than this stupid fight we're having. We're cool. We love each other. Let's hug, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If murder charges can be tossed away with one line, I believe these people who love each other can solve this in a conversation.
And then we see Giles, again, as Ryan mentioned, being daddy. When he threatens Snyder, I'm like, ooh, yeah, defend Buffy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Would you like me to convince you? I would like you to convince me.
Yeah. Ooh, you're right. I haven't been convinced yet, Giles. Come get me.
In a professional manner. Yeah.
But now that we're at the end, favorite outfit, Ryan?
Pat's outfit for the party.
Yeah.
Slay. Absolutely gorgeous. I think, we were talking about non-binary people earlier. I think it's quite a statement about the suburbs. No, while I do stand by that, I do remember that outfit, and I think it is perfectly executed by the costume department. How could anyone argue with Buffy's party outfit?
Yep.
It is just, it's like a Bratz doll.
Ashley.
Mine is Buffy's outfit in her dream at the school. The baby blue long sleeve with the open back and the white pants.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I see that, I'm like, God, she's so beautiful. She looks so good.
Angela?
I'm also going with Buffy's pink outfit. It was youthful, and it just looked so of that era, I felt like. And also the hairstyle that she had at one of the points when she was talking to Joyce, where they had that little twist with the butterfly clip.
Yeah, it's cute.
It's brought me back.
Yeah.
When she was in that meeting with Snyder.
Yeah, it's when she's talking to Snyder. My favorite outfit was Cordy's flower print dress. I loved that dress. It fit her nicely. Yes. She looked great.
She only suffered for that outfit, which was a total slay, and I did put in my possibilities, but she only suffered because it was next to Buffy's, and Buffy's was like, again, the Swiss butter people were working overtime on Buffy's appearance.
We gotta go, but real quick, I don't like that dress. The crushed velvet. I used to like it, but now I don't. I don't know. I just can't suffer a crushed velvet. Favorite scene, Ashley?
Gathering, shindig, or hootenanny. That is something that I still use to reference what kind of event I'm going to in my day-to-day life.
I love that. Angela?
I liked a lot of these scenes, but I like really at the very beginning where Buffy sees them attempting to slay. And I think that's just kind of an interesting moment she ends up killing the vampire, but they're all just laid out in this like pan. And for some, like the cinematography, I just really like that part. I don't know.
Ryan?
The Snyder X Giles fanfic beginning that didn't quite finish. I thought that was great.
For me, I think it's the zombie final act. I just love smashing shit.
It is fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I like seeing the different pairings. I just love everything.
Classic Buffy.
Yeah. What grade do we give this episode, Angela?
B+.
Okay.
I don't like zombies, but I liked what was going on in the episode.
Ashley?
I'm going to give it a solid B. It's not my favorite, but it's not my least favorite. And there's a lot of iconic lines in it too. So, yeah, solid B.
Ryan?
Listen, again, my scale is episodes of Buffy, not episodes of television. So I'm going to be very, 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 very kind because of the dress and give it a B-. All
right.
I think it's a good episode. It is a very good episode, but there's some weak parts that I think if we'd done another couple script passes, this would have been, perfection.
Fair enough. I'd give it a B+ because it's like, not my favorite, but I still do love it. All right. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for being part of the Patreon. If you want to follow, you know where to find us at this point.
Yeah.
Ryan, where can everyone find you and your stuff?
Oh, they know where to do that, but it's at Ryan Houlihan on Instagram. I'm, completely unhinged on there. And then at RYHO, that's youtube.com/at RYHO. If you want to find me on YouTube, where I'm talking about, cool pop culture things and also why the world is bad. But it's fun, I swear.
Ashley?
You can find me on Instagram at 'cause I'm feeling fine, or Twitter, whatever it's called, at mythtaken314. And if you like Heartstopper, I do a podcast called Why Are We Like This? And you can find us on all socials at Why Are We Cast, and listen to us anywhere you get podcasts.
And Angela?
I am Angela MFN Rockstar on Instagram, at Angela Rockstar on TikTok, at Mrs._a Rockstar on X, Twitter, whatever. And yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining me, and thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
And if you want to listen to this full recording and the rest of the hour-plus long episodes for our Buffy Season 3 25th Anniversary coverage, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Slayerfest98 and subscribe. Subscriptions start as low as $1 a month with the Scoobies tier, which gets you access to our private Facebook group and Discord channel. Our Coven tier, which is $2 a month, gets you access to 1 to 2 new audio episodes a month. And our $5 a month royalty tier gets you access to all our bonus episodes. Check out all the rest of the tiers for more info on what you can get every month. Any and all support is very much appreciated and keeps this queer, nerdy podcast going. Thank you so much.